Hello, Remittance to India, an investigation. So why did I choose this topic? Around 440 billion US dollars are being sent from developed nation to developing countries every single year. India tops the list in the receiving end, and Australia is one of the major remitters. I have a personal agenda too because I am a very regular remitter, and I have so many friends who make regular remittances to India. We are always left wondering if we are getting the best deal. So this will be the major focus of the investigation. Are my friends and I getting the best deal while making remittances to our home country? So for the planning of investigation, I decided to use three main modes of data collection, which involve my own remittance behavior by developing a self-monitor report. Secondly, remittance behavior of my friends using questionnaire, and then a comparison of various remittance agencies from online websites, online data collection. This investigation will also analyze the mathematics involved. The first is the role of numeracy in the investigation itself and in the remittance process using Forest framework, the 5 themes of using and analyzing mathematics, and then CARA, the mathematics curriculum. So moving on to the data collection part of it, I used the 3 modes, and the theme of enquiry came into play here, where the participant involved is finding out for themselves by asking and answering questions, which reference to DFES 2006. And then this initial inquiry also involved thinking what data will best suit in obtaining the most appropriate data for the investigation. So as soon as the investigation was planned, I sent out the questionnaire to about 10 of my friends, out of which 9 of them came back with the survey, and I collated the data into this table, which allowed me to form various charts and graphs for the analysis purposes. And then the self-monitoring report, which I was able to develop with by getting my own data of 6 months, and got the average amount remitted because I thought that mode will be best suited for this investigation. I was able to find that about 50% of my peers were also using the same remittance mode as I was. And then the final mode of collection data was looking through the internet and through the websites of the remittance agencies to form a comparison table. And it was while making this comparison table that I was able to learn a lot about the remittance agencies and different modes of remittances. There were a few changes from the initial plan where I had to remove the hidden cost because I believed it depended on personal circumstances, and then added in cash and card options because I found out that different agencies charge different rates and fees based on if it was a card transaction or a bank transaction, and hence one size does not fit all in this investigation. So the final results would be based on not just one remittance website, but I will be finding out 2, one for cash based and the other for card based. And then moving on to data analysis, the Australian Bureau of Statistics defines data analysis as a process of turning data into meaningful information, and Teacher's Version also describes it as looking for patterns such as similarities, trends, disparities, and other relationships, and also thinking about what they might mean. So my first step was to find out if my friends thought the same as I, if we were getting the best deal, and about 45% of them thought it was quite expensive, their transaction was quite expensive, and about 70% believed that they're not getting the best deal. So we were on the same page. And then the next criteria was finding out what elements they would look at most before making a transaction, and the exchange rates, transaction fees, and speeds came in as the most important aspects they would look for. So this will be the base of my investigation. So, as the first step, I compared the remittance fees, which was with the data collected from my peers and what I collected online, and the graphs indicate that they varied quite strongly. Hence, I ranked them based on these charges. ICICI and Orbit Remit were the toppers with the remittance rates. Then is the competitiveness of exchange rates. And this data I was able to collect over a period of 5 days with the actual exchange rate and what each of the remittance companies offer, and was able to form this line graph, which the blue line shows the actual rates, and these are that of the remittance agencies, which was analyzed, and I was able to form this table which ranked Western Union to be the best exchange rates, to be offering the best exchange rates, followed by Rem to India and Osforex. And then the next main thing that they were looking at was speed. And since most of my peers were ready to pay extra for speed, it was one of the main categories. Since all the remittance agencies would do transaction in minutes when used cards, I didn't use that as a category. However, when it was a bank transaction, the speed varied from between the same day and up to like 3 days. So based on this rating, Western Union came first for ICICI, followed by MoneyGram, and then Remit to India. So the key findings were based on two main modes, the cash-based mode and the card-based mode. With the cash-based mode, I calculated the result based on adding up the three main elements, the scores of the three main elements, and the company with the least score is the best remittance mode, with the highest one being the least favorable one. So with the cash-based transaction, Western Union and Remit to India both were chosen to be the best remittance options. And with the card-based transaction, as the result shows, Remit to India came in as the sole winner and the best option to make card-based transactions. So what this means for me and my peers. Personally, I have been using Western Union for the past few years, and I might consider using Remit to India for my card-based transaction, but will continue to use Western Union for my cash-based transactions. And as far as my peers are concerned, none of them reported Remit to India as their choice, so they might consider using that for their transactions. However, 4 of them have been already using Western Union, so they might consider with their current service and make more informed decisions. Moving on, now I'll be discussing the framework underpinning the investigation. I have chosen Forrest's framework because he believes social and cultural practices influence literacy and numeracy, which suits this investigation more, and that numeracy and literacy also depends on areas of interest. Numeracy technician. And the role of numeracy technician involves the knowledge and understanding of various mathematical concepts such as number, measurements, chance and data, space, algebra, and the main concept that underpins the investigation include financial mathematics, numbers, decimals, collection and organization of data, classification and analyzing of graphs. The key aspect used here is problem solving with the mathematical knowledge as stated in the FS 2006. Solving program lies at the heart of mathematics. Numeracy is defined as a proficiency that requires an inclination and ability to solve number problems in a variety of contexts. The theme of reasoning also fits here, as the skill of reasoning using objects, numbers and shapes will help to see what is and consider what might be. It also includes an understanding of logical rules, such as when an exchange rate to India increased on a particular day, it doesn't mean that all the currencies will have an increased rate on the day. Moving on to the numeracy participant. The numeracy participant, the role is the key idea is the prior knowledge of the topic that the participant brings to the learning. In the investigation, I was able to draw on my background knowledge for the context, and I was able to draw on my prior knowledge of remittances, and this was something that I did quite often. I was able to transfer the mathematical understanding that I had developed in school as well as in uni studies. This also comes hand in hand with the understanding as knowledge of adaptable and transferable concepts of mathematics. The key aspect used here is understanding where there is knowledge of adaptable and transferable concepts of mathematics. Here there were connections made between various related concepts such as dollar rates, transaction fees, etc. and new ideas were applied. And then in the planning phase, the why the differences in transaction fees and how to find the best deal was explored. The next role is that of a numeracy user. The role of numeracy user is where the mathematical formats and methods are used effectively. Forrest suggests that in this role, the numerate has an understanding of what the mathematical texts have different purposes and such as structures and features. We were using different graphs to analyze the data and which graph would fit in more with the investigation that was being undertaken. The key idea included fluency skills, which is choosing the appropriate procedure and applying the methods efficiently. It is also fluency is also observed when you can calculate the answers more efficiently. The theme of representing also comes into play, where the real world problem is decontextualized and simplified and represented in the mathematical work, and then the analysis and solving takes place and solution is checked against by recontextualizing into the real world problems. As a numeracy analyst, the processes and solutions are critically analyzed. It is the ability to comment critically on the strength and weakness of various forms of data collection and analysis, and use of mathematics to support the argument. With respect to this investigation, sample size of survey was quite low, which I was not happy with. The key element was reasoning to be given with mathematical thinking, and theme of communicating also came into play with personal and small groups of my peers. So here is like what the investigation will have in a classroom context. Several themes can be analyzed, and here is the link to the CARA. Finally, this investigation, I explored how different modes of data collection were used and how graphs and tables were used for data analysis, and the results showed that with card and cash-based remittances, Remit to India came in as a winner. With cash-based transaction, Western Union was also a winner. And with the key implications, it might change the way I make my card-based transactions, and my peers might be making more informed decisions. Forrest's framework was discussed in detail using the 5 themes of using and applying mathematics. And ACARA was also discussed with how a classroom goes in for the investigation. Here are the references. Thank you for your time.